Hey, everyone. Today is a super special day because I get a chance to play again with my friends at Coach Powell Training Development. Coach Powell Training Development, Coffee Tea, you and me, every Friday around about the 3 o'clock hour. We try to make sure we bring it to you. We bring you the information, the ideas, the concepts that you're going to need to make sure that you thrive in your life and in your business. Today is no different. We got a very special. Let's see if I can turn this music off. Oh, let's deal with that first of all. Today we got a special treat for you today. We're going to talk about. We're going to be continuing and furthering the conversation on um, bringing community into your plan. If you are an entrepreneur, business leader of any type, you're going to need to understand and work with the fact that greatness alone is impossible. If it is possible, it's unsustainable. And so, a part of your planning for success is asking yourself, who are you planning to bring with you? Who do you need to add to the team? Who do you need to consider a part of your inner circle? How do you create that inner circle? How do you energize the inner circle? And how do you make it all that it could possibly be? And so we understand that planning for community requires an understanding of how you're going to gather and work with your co-conspirators. How are you going to get your family members? How are you going to get the people that love you, people you love, to work with you and give their best to the efforts that you all agree are something that you need to do. We talked about vision before, and we talked about mission and how you add that, may make this part of your plans. But a part of how you make your vision and your mission, your goals, and everything that you need to do in planning come alive is through understanding how to do it through community. And before you do that, you understand what community is. So we talked about that last week. This week, we're going to talk about one of the three keys that make community work. And there are three keys that make community work. It is uh, collaboration, it is cooperation, and it is convergence. These three ideas, I find, and research shows, are the three key ideas that are needed for you to fully understand and fully flesh out to really get down to what's required to create, maintain a supportive community around you, your business, and everything you do. That's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about how you use this first notion of cooperation and how you can take that notion of cooperation everywhere that it needs to be. Um, if you guys haven't followed me already, if you're not already thinking about that, I want you to take a look. Make sure that you are following us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, whatever you like. Make sure that you are checking the subscribe button, that you're sharing this information, because I don't want to keep anything that we do in some kind of silo that's only exclusive and only available for certain people. We're not about that. We're about diversity. We're about equity. We're about inclusion. Absolutely. And we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to play, because this information is freely available for everybody. I'm just sharing it. I haven't created very much. I mean, I've created a couple of key ideas and concepts that I know work, but in reality, most of that is based on principles that have been here long before me and will be here long after I'm gone. But the key is understanding those principles and understand how to make those principles work for you. So let's talk about cooperation. And I want to set the stage with a notion and a thought process from Bill Clinton, who's one of my fraternity brothers and a former president of the United States of America, right? President Clinton said, "We all do better when we work together. Our differences do matter, but our common humanity matters more." Let's rattle that around in your brain bucket for a minute. We all do better when we work together. Is it true or is it not true? Do you believe that or do you not believe that? And he goes on to say, our differences do matter. Might beg the question of how those differences matter, but our common humanity matters more. He says the delta between our differences, which are here, and our common humanity, which is here, right? Our common humanity matters more. But how do you take advantage of that? I think it's an interesting way to think about planning and moving forward. What if leaders today refused to do it alone? What if they refused to go it alone? What if they refused from the beginning, an incubation of an idea or a thought, to keep it to themselves? What if they immediately began to share not just their idea, but the trajectory of their idea, which is the vision, right? With their family, their friends, people around them, trusted people around them. What if they insisted on being and staying in and amongst the teams throughout the process of the planning and execution of whatever they're trying to do? Would there be the same number of challenges? Would there be the same number of obstacles to overcome? Would teams approach any agreed upon strategy with a deeper, more meaningful commitment to the end game, right? Um, would they show up with a greater sense of passion for the work? Assuming that there's a wonderfully positive answer to all the questions that I just asked, what will we need to do to inspire more cooperation amongst our professional teams? Well, it turns out we need three things to create that community. We need an understanding and a deep, abiding wisdom about what cooperation is and what it isn't. We need to understand what convergence is and what it isn't. And we need to understand what collaboration is and what it isn't. So today we're just going to attack cooperation. Let's talk about cooperation. In future episodes, we'll elucidate and elaborate the differences between those three key concepts and ideas. We're going to talk about cooperation today. And more importantly, we're going to talk about the 7 strategies that leaders need to use in order to inspire cooperation. So what is cooperation? Simply put, cooperation is the process of working together. Great leaders create environments where teamwork thrives. Even during the often contentious planning phases or execution phases, great leaders are always able to bring people back to that process of working together. It's about nothing more than the process of working together. How do you create that process in your environment? What do you need to do? What strategies do you need to champion? What concepts or ideas do you need to fall in love with and make sure that you bring into your universe constantly, consistently, regularly, right? Number one, you got to lead with vision. You got to do it. If you might not consider yourself a visionary leader, right? But it's vitally important that someone amongst the team clearly communicates a compelling vision. This ensures that everyone understands the bigger picture and feels a part of something meaningful. Now, for those of you all who have been in any kind of committed relationship, you understand that these people have an opportunity to share with you what's truly meaningful about what you bring to the table. And I tend to ask leaders in every aspect of what they do, whether they're in a partnership or business, or they're leading a team, or whether they are building an organization from the foundation up, you know, do you have a well-written, brilliantly articulated vision for whatever respective organization that you have that compels the most meaningful action to begin to take shape from others? Because having a compelling vision is one of the most important aspects. Again, well-written foundational documents and agreements that help you begin to answer the question, where are we going? What is the sense of destiny? What are we called to do, to be, to become? This is what vision helps us understand. And if we all have that same or similar understanding, it's much easier for us to work together in a cooperative environment because the vision is what gels us. The vision is what brings us closer to one another and helping us to keep our focus on whatever the proposed agenda should be. If you come up short here, people will not have what they need to drive hard toward a more fulfilling end. Period. Full stop. That's it. The Bible says, without a vision, people perish. Now, I know I'm paraphrasing, but understand that what's at risk when you do not have a well thought out, brilliantly articulated, well written vision about where you're going, about what it means to be together, about how that togetherness is going to bring apart and bring forward some type of uh, worthwhile end to everybody who participates, then people will find themselves not really understanding if what they're doing has any meaning, has any purpose, has any real. If there's no acknowledgement along the way that okay, this is the right way to do this, or you're doing this. We're so impressed with this. If there's no accolades about that, then people don't even know they're on track. Which brings me to rule number 2. Good leaders have to foster a culture of trust. They have to be transparent, they have to be approachable, and they have to be consistently fair. Now, I'm going to be careful when we talk about fairness because consistently fair does not mean you doing the same thing with everyone simultaneously. That's not fair. That might be equal, but that is not fair. Fair and equal are not the same thing. What's fair is that you treat people the way they deserve or need to be treated. That's fair. But when you treat people all the same, inevitably you're treating someone unfairly because you're not treating them the way they need to be treated in order for them to give their best. By trying to level the playing field and treat everyone the same, you get the nod for equality, but you also get, you know, the stick in the heart for unfairness because those who need more from you aren't getting it. Those who need less from you getting too much. Right? So transparent, approachable, and consistently fair means you're able to, and people are able to depend on you over and over again for these acts of um, leadership that really foster a culture of trust. You want to create an environment where people understand each other. You want to create an environment where people believe in each other and people have high expectations of each other that are reasonable. Right? If there's no trust, hope begins to diminish, and it's not far behind when it begins to diminish. As soon as trust begins to erode, so does hope, and it becomes much easier uh, when you have high trust to make commitments, take appropriate risk, especially in the execution phase when the action is really happening. We're out of planning and we're into getting it done. You need to be able to have the faith that the people around you can actually do it, can actually do the work, can actually, focus and come together and share resources and talents and you know bring the best out of one another. But that's not going to happen if you don't have a consistent culture of trust, right? And you can't do that if you don't foster that well as a leader. The third thing you got to do as a leader is you need to empower your team members, right? That's a big word. That's a big word because when you empower an individual, you're allowing them to take ownership of the task that they're doing, allowing them to have a sense of responsibility, and you're encouraging them to actively participate. You know, and sometimes people don't need the encouragement. Sometimes people already have an ownership mentality. They already have a sense of responsibility. They already kind of know. what they're willing to do, what they're gonna do, and they're very sure about it in such a way that they'll be willing to share that with you. This is what I'm gonna do. And when others share the kind of authority they need to share in different spaces, and they can demonstrate their faith and belief in others along the way, what tends to happen is everybody feels empowered. Everybody feels like they're doing what there needs to be done. And then so the level of trust and the level of faith in one another, it's kind of rising the more you kind of work together and share ideas with each other and work together and share more ideas and then work together and share more ideas. Notice that that's got to be a level of communication in there, right? Because this is how the law of reciprocity works. If you're giving me your best, I'm going to be encouraged to give you my best, and vice versa, right? And so the more I pour in, the more I get in return, and vice versa. And so it's just how the law works. But it works best when there's clarity, right? When there's a level of connection and commitment to everything that's going on. Ziegler used to say, well, if you want the best of people, then you're going to have to be able to and be willing to invest in them. And he would say it in things like this, in words like this. He would say, give it out in slices and it'll come back to you in loaves, right? All you got to do is pay attention. All you got to do is give people what they need. And you give them what they need, not just what they want, but what they need, what they know they need, right? It's going to be very evident that it was you who made that gift. It was very you. They were the beneficiary of your benevolence, right? That becomes really evident when you're clear. This is something that you need. This is something that I'm giving to you. This is something that I hear you understand, and if I hear you correctly, this is what you're saying is important to you. I'm giving it to you, right? So now, the discernment is making sure that investment that you're making in someone else, whether that's time, talent, or treasure, is appropriate for um, the space that you're in. And that often takes a lot of trial and error, and it takes a lot of listening and paying attention and analyzing and really thinking about it. But the more you do it, the better you become at it, the more you become discerning of who you should invest your time and effort and energy with and who you should. Because there's certain people, no matter what they say, what they do, they're not really on the team. They're not really a part of. They're not going to be a part of your group. They're not going to be a part of your organization. They're not going to be part of your community, and they're not going to drive towards future success with you. Um, they might be in it for all kinds of other reasons, but it's not those reasons, right? Number 4, you have to be great at celebrating the diversity of thought. Notice I did not say diversity, right? Because diversity comes in many different forms, and we can't just throw it out because we don't like how certain people um, think of it. We can't do that. That's not what the word is intended to be. It's just, but to celebrate diversity of thought means no matter what your background is, no matter what your age is, no matter where you're coming from, what you're thinking is a part of who you are. And if you can celebrate the thoughts of a person, then you're also celebrating the person, right? And you're welcoming different perspectives and ideas into the mix. You're creating a safe space for people to give you their best ideas, to share their best ideas about whatever the thing is that you're trying to do, right? You create that space by being warm, by being encouraging, by being comforting, and most importantly, and genuinely interested in others. If you're not genuinely interested in other people, don't even go there. You're not going to be able to be successful here. You're not going to create community. It's just not going to work. You need to be genuinely interested. Don't wait until somebody finally gets something done to honor and then achieve them and say, oh, wonderful, great, 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 you did a great job, blah, blah. Celebrate them along the way. Catch them while they're doing the thing and go, way to go, attaboy, keep going. Don't give up. You got this. These are things that are going to help inspire and encourage people, through the rough patches or whatever it is that they're doing. There will be rough patches. If there's no rough patches, and it's all easy peasy all the time, then you kind of know that person is not really pressing. They're not really giving their greatest effort. There's no sweat beads forming up. There's no calluses coming up on the hands. There's no, those no energy being put forward. That is a stretch, not a break, right? I'm very very big on that. You stretch people, but you don't break them. If you're a good leader, you learn how to stretch them, how to grow them. But if you're a bad leader, then you consistently break them, and then they're not coming back for more of that. They're gonna run away from that. But those who help to grow and help to empower and to become bigger and better in themselves and in the things that they get to do, they will always respect you and they will always come back to you. Um, you got to be nice. Again, you got to be warm. You got to be a little bit accommodating, right? You got to do what you need to do to encourage the comfort. And more importantly, like everything else, to be genuinely interested. Okay. What else do you need to do if you really want to become a great uh, cooperative type of leader? Number five, you must facilitate open communication. All right. If you cannot set the tone for a respectful dialogue, if you don't practice active listening consistently to your team's concern, if you don't promote inclusivity about what's going on and what needs to go on, if you don't present an idea that helps people breathe life into their ideas and their concepts, if you don't, you know, again, present and create that environment where trust and balance and safety exists, then the best ideas have no chance of blooming. Okay, not within a circle of trust. What happens then is people start to hold their ideas. They start to um, feel like they're being put upon, or feel like they're being second guessed, or they feel like they really don't belong, and so they're not going to give their best to an environment. They can't. Emotionally, the brain won't let you give your best to a place where you feel oppressed and that you feel like your ideas don't matter. It's hard for you to do that. And without open communication, without facilitating that open communication, these kinds of non-productive concepts and ideas can run rampant through your organization, through everything that you say you hold dear in your organization. Well, it just all fall apart. All right. The sixth thing, the next concept I want you to get an understanding of when you want to become a more cooperative leader, a team member, even, is try to focus on highlighting shared goals, common objectives, things that unify and energize the team. And when you do that, you're simultaneously going to minimize the conflicts. You're not going to have as much friction between the team members because everyone is going to be playing from the same script. This is a critically important idea. Leaders need to keep everyone and everything moving in the right direction, right? They have to help people keep their focus on the main thing. And by doing so, they minimize distraction and unrest. Whenever a team tends to fall short of where the planned objectives that they need to hit, right? It's the leader's job to get them back on track and on task. You got to figure out what resources are lacking. You got to figure out where they need showing up in expertise or in education or information, or what is needed to get them back on track, and you or get to recast the suspense dates and when things are going to get done, because obviously you figured out that the team doesn't have what it takes to be successful, and so instead of blaming them as a leader, you take the responsibility to establish and create the resources needed for them to get back on track and move forward, right? Very, very important to do. All right. Highlight those shared goals, keep them in front of everybody, make sure they're all focused on the task, And you get that done, and you're going to find that it's much easier when things don't go as planned to make a pivot, to make an adjustment. Number 7, this is the most important of all the 7 concepts that we're going to share with you today about being a cooperative leader. This one that I think is the most important. You must model the behavior you want to see. Now, all 7 of these ideas are important, but this idea, to me, reigns supreme. Here's why. When you become a cooperative leader, you set the standard by demonstrating the supportive behavior that you want others to emulate. It's hard to promote the benefits of working together if you're alone, right? If you do everything in isolation, if you see that, the ideas in your own ideas that are handed down from you from on high, right? Or you bring these tablets to everybody else for everybody else to just participate in and see. They weren't part of the process. It's going to be a hard sell because everybody's looking at it. It's just you. It's just you. It's your idea. It's your thought process. It's your strategy. It's your implementation. It's you. And so since you are all about all the big ideas and all the great concepts and so on and so forth, then you can implement it. Because when it doesn't go right, or things don't go the way it needs to go, the only one person to blame is going to be you. Now, a lot of people go, well, that's the cost of being the big boss. No, that's the cost of not working with other people. That's the cost of not creating a cooperative, collaborative environment for people to thrive in. You lose hard and you fall quickly, and it hurts. But again, if you work together and you enjoy the benefits of cooperation, then when you do lose, it's not going to be so dramatic, right? It's not going to be so hard. It's not going to be so personal. And others are not going to blame you, especially others that are on the team, because it's a we thing. It's not a you thing or a me thing. It's a we thing. So you want to bring people in on the developmental phases of whatever you're doing. You want them to share their thoughts. You want them to commit their ideas. You want them to formally put it down on pen and paper. And the longer you wait to bring your top people in on the new plans and new directions, the harder it's going to be to implement. You'll be putting out miscommunication fires after miscommunication fires after mismanaged expectation after problematic meetings, and it's going to be a flat out hot mess. So let me repeat the 7 strategies, and I hope you all are taking clear notes. But I'm going to repeat the 7 strategies so that you got a clear understanding of what they are. Number 1, lead with vision. Number 2, foster a culture of trust. Number 3, empower your team members. Number 4, celebrate the diversity of thought, no matter what age, no matter what racial, ethnic group, whatever it is, celebrate them all. Number 5, facilitate open communication. Number 6, highlight shared goals. And finally, number 7, model the behavior that you want to see. You do all these things well, I promise you, you're going to have a more cooperative environment. People are going to like working together. Now, next week, we're going to get into the next concept, and it's a very complicated concept, but it's something I think is important because it's convergence. And in order for you to appreciate how ideas come together, how people come together, how things come together to create something new, you gotta have to understand the entirety of that process. So we're going to talk about the strategies of convergence next week, but the benefits of convergence as well, because you need to see, why these benefits and why these strategies matter, not just what the strategies are, but why they matter. So we're going to talk a lot about that next week. And we're about half an hour in right now, and I want to give a shout out to my friends and family and people that I got a chance to work with over the last couple of weeks, um, we're doing some amazing things. And um, with understanding what you might want to do with a family farm, when you are thinking about alternative ways to create revenue and where that revenue might come from. And we're actually considering and planning to promote and present various ideas about solar farms and just kind of reviewing what the possibilities could be. And I think that this is a game changer. This is a game changer for a lot of people. And not just a lot of people in my family, but people are associated around the families and friends in Southern Virginia in similar property sizes and spaces who might want to consider aligning and joining forces. So if you're one of those people out there, you're thinking about that for yourself and you want to find out more, give your boy a call. And of course, if you are a small business, if you're a person who really wants to grow, um, and you have a professional um, designation, like meaning you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're an engineer, you're some type of licensed professional to do what you need to do, whether it's real estate broker or insurance person, whatever that is. Um, Give me a call. I like to work with you. I like to share with you the VisionQuest 90 process in its totality and see if it's something that you'll enjoy. I know it's something that you'll enjoy. Um, but I always will give people the benefit of the doubt. If you can find a way to plug holes in the program that I created over 20 years ago, that's helped thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs, I'm open to it. I really want to hear some feedback. So I'd love to show it to you. If you know anybody like that out there, feel free to have them give me a call. My information is running across the screen. And I love to talk to them because we want to touch as many entrepreneurs and business leaders as we possibly can. While I still got a couple of dark hairs, coming through here. So that means I got a couple more hair, a couple more grays before it's all gone. And guess what? I'm probably gonna be all done. So, uh, again, I had a great time today, guys. I hope you did too. Welcome to Coffee Tea, you and me. This is Coach Powell Training Development. Hope you had a great time. And we're going to be signing off. And that is that. Bye.